In this video, I'm going to discuss how to write a program using Python to guess a number between 1 and 100. Notice that the numbers are whole numbers. I'm choosing the pseudocode as a design tool because it appears to be easier for some students to use in order to outline the steps that they're going to take to solve a particular problem. We're going to use the random method because it will be used to choose a number, and the object is for the user to be able to guess the number chosen by the computer. And another reason that it is a method is because this method, which is rad int, is going to be associated with the random module. So the first step is that we're going to say import random, the random module, into Python. Next, we're going to declare or define whatever variables that we're going to be using in the program and declare them as an integer. So once we declare guess and number as an integer, we're going to initialize guess to any value other than the numbers between 1 and 100 inclusive. And so I'm just going to arbitrarily say it's a -1. That's going to be my loop control variable. I'm using a while loop. Why? Because I do not know how many guesses a person or a user is going to have to take in order to guess the right number. And so I'm going to use a while loop to say while whatever the person is guessing, that number is not equal to the number that is generated by the random number generator, then we're going to ask the user to enter a number between 1 and 100. If the number that the person enters is equivalent to the number generated by the random number generator, then we say you guessed the number correctly. Otherwise, if the number that the person entered is greater than the number generated by the random number generator, the guess is too high. Otherwise, if the number the user guessed is less than the number, we have to indicate your guess is too low. Try again. We're using a nested if to have the computer to choose between several options. And then we're going to end the inner loop that is used to allow the user to enter more than one guess. That's the reason why we need a loop, because the user has to put in more than one number. Okay, so let's see what this is going to look like in Python. Don't forget to add comments in your program. It is just as important as code. All of our companies who are hiring our students are telling us this, and they indicate this a lot, especially in our advisory board meetings about documentations and writing comments and so on. So don't take that lightly. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to import the random module in our program. So we're going to say import random. Make sure you spell it correctly. Next, we're going to declare and initialize our variables. Guess is going to be assigned to, I just put in a -1 because this is our loop control variable. That's what's going to control the while loop. Number is going to equal to, as you can see right here, it's going to equal to random dot rad int open parentheses 1, 100. Random dot rad int 1, 100. And you're probably going to ask, why can't we just say numbers equal to rad int? The reason is that rad int is a function, but it is associated with this module. So in order for us to access this, we have to indicate that it is based on the object module. So this module is an object. Whenever we're dealing with methods, you'll notice you'll see an object followed by the dot followed by the method itself, and that's in this case a method. This is a random function, but it's a special function that we call a method. It has to be associated with the object, an object. Okay, the next step is that we're going to have an inner loop used to enable a user to enter more than one number to guess. Anytime that something has to be repeated, you have to use a loop. There's some sort of a loop involved with that. Okay, so we're going to say while the guess, that's the number that the user is going to enter, that it's going to be stored in that variable name, while it's not equal to the number that is generated by the random number generator. We're going to go in and say user enters a number. Print enter a positive whole number between 1 and 100. Guess is equal to int input. Now, there's a reason that I'm always separating these out. They could have been combined together, but if I need to go back and check the validity of this value, it's easier to do it this way. Or check to see if what I entered was a number. Now, we're going to use an if statement to analyze what the user entered. If the guess or the number that the user entered is equal to the number generated by the random number generator method, then we're going to display print you guessed the correct number, and then we're going to put in what the number is. We're going to have that to display. Otherwise, we're going to do just what we said. If the user entered a number that was too high, we're going to say it's too high. Otherwise, it's too low. So, if the user guesses the number the first time, the computer will display you guessed the number correctly, and it will end the while loop. The only time this while loop will not end is when the user does not guess the correct number. Otherwise, if the number that the user entered is greater than the number generated by the random number generator method, the program is going to display your guess is too high. Else, if the guess is the number that the person enters is lower than the number generated by the computer generator, random number generator, it will indicate your guess is too low. Try again. Okay, so let's see if this program is going to work.